Lions made a lot of moves on the coaching staff a couple of days ago. This one including a hiring. This is the only hiring you're going to see in this video. The Lions, according to Jeremy Fowler, Bucs run game coordinator / defensive line coach Kacy Rodgers is expected to join the Lions as their new defensive line coach per sources. Detroit is replacing Terrell Williams, who became Patriots defensive coordinator. Rodgers has been with Todd Bowles since 2015, and Dan Campbell and I believe Aaron Glenn as well both said in their press conferences when we faced the Buccaneers in the playoffs last year, and I think this year as well in week 2, that they respected him a lot. Todd Bowles and Kacy Rodgers, so he is one of the best defensive line coaches in the league from what I'm understanding. Him and Terrell Williams are one of the best. I don't think he's quite as good as Terrell Williams. I did listen to Kacy Rodgers a couple of his press conferences. From a little bit of how he talked, he kind of reminded me of Mike Tomlin, which I really like. But I think this is a good hire, one of the better defensive line coaches in the league from what I've been hearing. This is a good replacement for Terrell Williams, in my opinion. Dan Campbell has a lot of respect for him. So overall, I think this is a good hire. It's a defensive line coach, so you really don't know how much of an impact they're going to make until you actually see it on the field. So there's that, but then we got some other news that wasn't so good. But first, get our last good news out of the video out of the way. Again, you've all seen this by now. Just got to make a video about it. The Lions are retaining Hank Fraley, according to Tom Pelissero, and they are also promoting Hank Fraley to run game coordinator / offensive line coach per source. He was already our offensive line coach, but he has been promoted to run game coordinator. An important piece of the puzzle staying in Detroit is Dan Campbell remodels the staff following the departure of both Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn. Again, we already filled those positions now by the time you're seeing this video. Kelvin Shepard is new defensive coordinator, and I'm losing it. John Morton is our new offensive coordinator. So, Hank Fraley, this is huge that he's staying. One of our most underrated, best coaches on the team. So, I'm so glad he's staying in Detroit. And him getting promoted to run game coordinator, it's a little bit interesting to me because if I'm not mistaken, Scotty Montgomery was our run game coordinator last season, and he did not get promoted, obviously, to offensive coordinator, so I don't know what's going on with him, if he's just going to be strictly running backs coach now instead of run game coordinator as well. I could be wrong on that, obviously, but I thought last season as a run game coordinator, so I don't know what's going on there, but Hank Fraley, good for Hank Fraley, man. Again, one of the most underrated best coaches on the team. I'm glad he's sticking around and not going to Ben Johnson. Unlike these two coaches, as one of them, I'll rant. I'll go over the least, not as bad one first. According to Jordan Schultz source, the Bears are hiring Lions assistant quarterbacks coach JT Barrett to be their new quarterbacks coach. A big get for Ben Johnson and his new staff, as Barrett, the former Ohio State star, was very well liked inside the Detroit building. This one, I don't really know a lot about JT Barrett, if I'm going to be honest. I knew he was our assistant quarterbacks coach, but I don't know how much of an impact he actually made. I didn't dive into his tape, his coaching ability and stuff like that. So I don't really know much about him like that, but he is no longer the Detroit Lions assistant quarterbacks coach. So the Detroit Lions had to find a new assistant quarterbacks coach. And there was a name that popped up that David Blau could return to Detroit to be the Detroit Lions' new quarterback coach if Mark Brunell was to leave for the Jets. And Mark Brunell is still on the team right now, and I do believe he's going to remain with us. But if he decides to go to the Jets, expect David Blau to be the new quarterback coach. And there still even is a chance if Mark Brunell stays that David Blau could come back to Detroit to be the assistant quarterbacks coach, as I'm pretty sure that's what he is with the Commanders right now. So, again, JT Barrett heading to the Chicago Bears to be their new quarterbacks coach. And this one is the one that made me lose my mind. This one actually happened before the JT Barrett news came out, but I got to rant a little bit here. Bears, according to Adam Schefter, Bears have by now finalized a deal to make former Lions wide receiver coach Antwaan Randle their new assistant head coach / wide receiver coach per source. Randle is following Ben Johnson to Chicago. I was livid when this came out, and I'm still livid. Ben Johnson has now taken Aaron Glenn, JT Barrett, and I guarantee he's going to take somebody else, whether that's a player, whether that's a coach, whether that's some of our fans with him. And our play style as well. This one I am irate about. Antwaan Randle is one of my favorite coaches on the Lions coaching staff, and we lose him to the Chicago Bears. As he now, the only promotion he gets is to be assistant head coach. He wasn't that. Our assistant head coach was Scotty Montgomery. So I guess that's what he went there for, to be with Ben Johnson and to be the new assistant wide receiver coach. I still like Antwaan Randle a lot, but this is unbelievable to me. Unbelievable to me. This one hurts a lot. Now, a name to watch to replace Antwaan Randle, in my opinion, is Golden Tate. I could very well see Golden Tate coming back to Detroit to be our new wide receivers coach, and I would be extremely happy if that was the case. I think he'd be a great wide receiver coach, just like Antwaan Randle, and I feel like he would fit the Detroit style, and he would fit the culture here in Detroit. So I I could see Golden Tate becoming our new wide receiver coach, or at least interviewing for this job. But this one is horrible. This one is horrible, man. This one's hurt. It's gonna hurt us. And it's unfortunate. And again, this is not it. I expect Ben Johnson to take some people with him, and I do expect this. I don't think any Lions YouTube content creator said this, but I thought Allen Robinson's career was over after this year. Unfortunately, big fan of Allen Robinson, still am, even though he's obviously past his prime. But I think Ben Johnson is going to bring Allen Robinson back to Chicago for his final year in the NFL. If he doesn't come back to Detroit for his final year in the NFL, to be back in Chicago and be back with Ben Johnson. That way he has a familiar face with him. So, again, this is not it, but those are the assistant coaching news from the city of Detroit. And we still have to hire a new assistant quarterbacks coach, potentially quarterback coach if Mark Brunell leaves. We got to hire a new wide receiver coach. I think that's it. I think that's all we have to do right now. I could be missing one, but I believe that's all right now because we promoted an assistant linebackers coach. If I didn't say that already, that's all we have to do on the Carson coaching staff. Obviously, we got a long way to go. Free agency, draft coming, all that up. We have thoughts in the comments down below. Ben Johnson takes Antwaan Randle and JT Barrett to Chicago to be wide receiver coach and assistant head coach and new quarterbacks coach for JT Barrett. So leave your thoughts in the comments down below. Losing Antwaan Randle really sucks. Hopefully we can get a good guy to replace him because Antwaan Randle is one of my favorite coaches, in my opinion, most underrated coach on our coaching staff. One pride, go Lions. Ben Johnson, man.